You've learned your favorite opening, reviewed all the lines, but when you go to play a game, your opponent plays something completely random, ignores every opening principle, it really annoys you, and you have no idea what to do. Sound familiar? Then today, in this video, I'll show and explain in practice how to punish your opponents for this. Let's go. Alright, here we go. E4. The opponent plays sidelines. Well, against these specific sidelines, we are going to play very aggressively. At the same exact time, I will show you exactly how to play if your opponent completely ignores standard opening principles. I am currently defending the pawn on the e4 square, so he is piling up more pressure on it. But overall, there is absolutely nothing dangerous about this situation at all. We're carefully defending everything, and when the opponent has no space, here you can, first of all, start organizing a flank attack. That is, you can count on him castling soon. And if he doesn't castle, if he plays something like this, then in any case, it's going to be tough for him here. I can play e5, and if he plays knight to d5, I can place my knight on e4. And his knight on d5 doesn't have any safe squares now. I can play c4 on the next move. He can't go to f4, he has to play c5, so that the knight can retreat to c7. Yes, and here after c4 the knight moves to c7, I give a check on d6, and after the check on d6 we capture. It turns out unexpectedly that the knight on c7 still has nowhere to go. This is a brief illustration of what this line leads to. If you don't follow opening principles, don't control the center, and give up too much space to your opponent for no reason, then such quick defeats will haunt you very often. Well, let's see. Maybe I'll play d5. I won't even take the knight on c7 yet. I'll attack another piece. But of course, the knight will certainly not be able to escape from me later on. Alright, castling development. Here we just finish everything by the book, by the standard. And if you castle long, you can play b4 to open up the queen side. If they go for short castling, then there are other attacking continuations here, which inevitably create significant problems for them. Even the isolated pawn sitting on h4 shouldn't really bother us very much at all, because as we can clearly see, it's important to understand here that the king on g1 is still better placed than he would be in the center. And the opponent, he has no pieces in the attack, so he can't really get to the king on g1. Therefore, there's nothing to be afraid of. Well, here I'll go. Bishop to a3. I'm developing the dark squared bishop so that the knight can't trade with it. And then the queen. Queen to c2. Attack the knight. The knight retreated. And I'll play b4 to catch another one. Here, the opponent is actually trying to put up a decent fight. He wants me to take and open up the h-file. But no one is obliged to open the h-file after all. You don't have to play along with your opponent, right? So you can just ignore that. Just quietly move out of the line of attack. True, here comes knight to d4. He'll play that, but knight to d4. Alright, now I can take and capture on g4. Because the most important thing was not to open the h-file. As for the g-file here, it opens up a little, but that's nothing to worry about. Queen to f4 is an option. I think I can play bishop to e2. Just to protect the knight this way. If he plays h5, I'll go g3. But in general, I want to play g3 on the next move. And suddenly the queen has nowhere to go either. That is, f6 is not available, f5 is not available, e4 is not available, nowhere is available. So he'll have to play the pawn to d3. If he gives it up, I'll take it with the queen. He plays queen to d4. The queens are exchanged, and that's it. An extra piece, no counterplay at all. When we're converting an advantage, the most common way to convert is to simplify the position to exchange pieces. It's important not to relax, it's important to deprive your opponent of any counterplay, not even give him hope that he has any ammunition left. Any chance to somehow save himself. Here, if the queen moves to d4, it attacks the rook and the queen is still under attack. Of course, he had to move the queen to d4, so here he suffers even greater material losses. well, it's probably time to resign. At this point, the game doesn't really make sense anymore. Or rather, this game doesn't carry any serious weight anymore. It's best just to resign. Being down an extra rook and a piece is too much in this position. Well, yes, obviously he doesn't want to trade queens. But whether he wants to or not, the position is lost anyway. The king moves somewhere. The pawn advances to d6. There's a mate threat on e7 and a mate threat on h8. Here. It's a fairly simple win. Playing e3 here doesn't achieve anything either. Basically, he has no active moves left. It turned out to be a solid, well-played game. Once again, pay attention that at this moment, after the move bishop to b4, we don't blunder the pawn on e4. Now, his idea isn't even just to resign, which would be fine. That is, his idea isn't even just to create a pin here. He actually wants to take the knight and then capture the pawn on e4. That's why the move queen to c2 is very important, to protect this central pawn. And then gradually the spatial advantage made itself felt. Before we move on to the next game, I want to say that when your opponent plays some nonsense at the start of the game, you can almost certainly get a very promising position with a big advantage right out of the opening. But if you don't understand strategy, if you don't grasp the fundamentals of chess, what you should be aiming for, and which moves to consider depending on the situation on the board, you won't get much out of it. That's why I want to remind you about my website with my own authored courses. These courses will help you reach a new level and achieve the goals you need. If you feel completely unsure of yourself in both tactics and strategy, then you need the first course, Chesspill. If you're already a confident, solid amateur, then there's Chesspill 2.0, which contains all the practical knowledge you need to help you focus only on the moves that matter during a game and not get distracted by unnecessary things. Let's continue. All the links are in the description and in the first pinned comment. I've noticed that on chess.com, almost no one plays e5. Poof, b6. Just b6. Alright, let's take the center. What else can you do? No showing off. I think we've seen something like this before. Here, I like the move of 4. You can afford to do that when your opponent fails to finish the play, or rather, when they simply do not take control of the center. Here, the move of 3 is a tough restriction. These guys will collapse on their own when the time comes, because the pieces simply have nowhere to go. You could push g4, take, and then rook to g1, though there is h5. You could also push h5 forward. The position won't open up quickly here, of course, but sooner or later it will happen. Like, for example, right now, sooner or later it will happen. And then all the drawbacks of the opponent's position will immediately come to light. And now, he is even going directly into such a remarkably dangerous and open fight. Yeah, I can just take and close off the bishop now so that later the knight can go to d4 and attack e5. But that's basically suicide. You can't castle because the bishop on e7 is under attack. And so remember this, friends. The antidote to this kind of nonsense is simple. Seize the center aggressively, open up the game, and crush your opponent. And after that, no one will ever play like this against you again. Knight to e6 is good, bishop to f5 is also possible. You can go back with rook to e1 or play f3. Honestly, everything works. Let's go with f3. The knight will return to f6. Then rook to g7, but no. No one is going back anywhere. So it's just an extra piece. Thank you. Knight to e6, both defended and attacked at the same time. Alright, rook to g4. By the way, rook to e6 is prepared. And there, thanks to the pin, the opponent will get back a little material. So let's play knight to e4. And come back here. Denalicious also doesn't like e5, but e5 in general has, in my opinion, stopped being the most popular move for black against e4. The most popular move now, I think, is c5, the Sicilian defense. At least if you look at the statistics. Another bold decision from the opponent. I think we can calculate knight to d6, just a little variation. Knight d6, rook d6, rook e6, rook d3. Take the rook, and take the bishop. A clean extra rook. All the opponent's pawns on the 7th rank are lost. Simple simplifications of the position. After which you have to resign. By the way, everyone started resigning. No one plays it out to the end, so there's not even any talk yet of trying to checkmate with bishop and knight, to be honest. But if this one suddenly doesn't resign, I'd try to checkmate with bishop and knight just to test myself. With bishop and knight mate, that's where the real difficulty is. The main challenge, of course, is to drive the opponent to the edge. Hi everyone, is it my headphones or is there something wrong with Kirill's microphone? What's going on, friends? Let me know. If something's not like it used to be, let me know. But actually, today it seems like no one... Kirill, do you have any thoughts on why the French and Dutch defenses are rarely played at the Grandmaster level? Well, the French defense is played quite often. It's very popular at the top level. The Dutch defense also appears from time to time. So, are we going for checkmate with the bishop and knight? Is that right? Am I understanding correctly? Drop a plus in the chat if it's a bishop and knight mate. Checkmate with bishop and knight. We're about to deliver it to our opponent. Damn, by the way, I forgot. Wait, how does it go again? Which button do you press on chess.com to promote to something other than a queen? Can someone please remind me? Is it Alt or Control? It is simply either one or the other choice. Alright, here we go. Oh yes, that's right. It's Alt. It's Alt. Man, he's really getting on my nose with this. King of his. But honestly, this is actually a pretty easy situation. Just need to make sure not to accidentally stalemate. Now we're basically going to let him take the pawn, and we'll start from there. Let's go. So we need to cut off his king. For now he can... Overall, my bishop and knight are positioned well, cutting off all these important squares from him. We also took away the b6 square with the bishop, nice and careful. And we need to bring the king over here. Now the Twix method is simple. We bring the knight to c7. The king goes to c8, bishop to a7. We keep pushing him further. The knight goes here. Our knight always moves like this. Here he should have tried to play King to e8, king to d6 here, and then the important move bishop to e3, which doesn't let the king escape. Well, and here, actually check. Check here. On king to d8. Check. So we drive the king out. A waiting move with the bishop. Check. Here. And now it's not difficult. Now we just need to regroup a little. Check. Knight to f5. And now, quite simply, this is checkmate.